okay. Just be okay, okay? Okay ba kayo? Sige, let's be honest. Are you okay? Sige, can you mention? I'm fine, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Jewel. Okay, Mr. Salazar answer also, okay? Yung iba, anong feeling nyo? Wala kayo? Okay. Anybody else? How do you feel right now? Okay lang, ma'am. Okay lang, ma'am. Char. Kailangan may char. Gusto ko yung Mr. Bandingan na may char talaga. Okay, sige. Even though we're not okay, we are supposed to be okay, no? Ang hirap kasi pag matanda na tayo, no? You still have to, but it's okay not to be okay naman din. Sir Bayobay, sige. So we are into checking off your attendance. So as I mentioned your name, please say present so I can recognize you. Okay? Kasi po ang attendance ay part ng ating klase. Okay, sige, let's start. As I mentioned your name, kindly say present. Okay, I'll read the base alphabetical tayo ha, para hindi kayo nalilito. Miss Abbas. Mariam. Mariam, are you there? Miss Mariam is not around. So today is 8:25. Next, we have Miss Abu. Abu.
Present, ma'am.
Thank you. Miss Abu. Austria.
Present, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Bandingan.
Present, ma'am.
Who is that? Sino po yung nagsalita ng kanina? I recognize Mr. Bandingan. Sige, ulitin ko ha. Mr. Bandingan is there. Mr. Bayobay. Bayobay.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Berwar.
Present.
Thank you. Gapol.
Present, ma'am.
Kamid.
Present po.
Mabang. Mabang. Okay ka lang, Jol?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Makalawan. Okay.
Present,
Miss
ma'am.
Makarimbang.
Present, ma'am.
Mato.
Present, ma'am.
Matura.
Present, ma'am.
Now.
Present po.
Pancha.
Present, ma'am.
Pastaul.
Present, ma'am.
Rendaliday.
Present, ma'am.
Salazar. Okay, Mr. Salazar is not yet around. Like 8:25. Silongan.
Present, ma'am.
Thank you. Usman.
Present, ma'am.
Wong.
Present, ma'am.
Zafra.
Present po.
Okay, thank you. So we are into, tapos na tayo sa checking of attendance. Ma'am, bakit lagi mo check of attendance? Who is this?
Ma'am,
Miss
present
Abbas?
ma'am si Jamil, ma'am. Si Salazar. Nasa
Okay.
chat, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Who is this? Mr. Salazar is present. How about Miss Abbas?
Present po, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Thank you. So all of you are present today. Okay. We'll proceed now sa ating course discussion. So, chapter 1 tayo ngayon. I have chapter 1. First chapter, marami nalito, Kasi nga, yung ating book, if you would have this type of book. Ito bang book na nyo? Ito. Is this your book? Can you answer yes? Or if you have any other edition, kindly mention on the chat kung anong edition meron kayo. Okay? If you have this type of book. Okay, 2013.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
2017, ma'am.
2017. If you would have 2017, much better. Actually, there is a 2020 na, but it's still, this one is still available. There is a release kay Dayag 2020, but it's not available in the National Bookstore yet. So, we have preferred to use this book. Ayan. Kung ito yung book na nyo, okay lang. Kung 2013, okay lang din. Pero, okay, pag meron tayong exercises, so I will mention what specific, sige po, merong time, picture ko, pero mas maganda siguro kung ano na lang ninyo, titingnan, okay? Sige. So, bakit kailangan may attendance? We are required to check your attendance if you are still there. Kasi po, it's not, it's not easy to check your attendance, especially when this things happen, di ba? Ang hirap kasi pag online tayo at saka kanya-kanya kayong bahay, no? And we cannot monitor what you're doing on our specific subject schedule. So most likely, we have to check your attendance in every online session that we will have. So kung offline naman kayo, hindi naman siya required na kayo ay i-check ang attendance. Okay? Sige. So we are Tuesday ngayon, online tayo. But on Thursday, most likely we will have an offline session. Will that be okay? Can you still hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So online tayo ngayon on Thursday. You have to answer a specific assignment and you have to do that on our class schedule. Pangit naman kasi, no, ang gagawin ko is magkakaroon ako ng activity and you have to do that on outside of our schedule. Siyempre, kakain yung oras ng ibang klase. So I will have to give you an assignment on our specific class schedule. Okay? Okay. Proceed na tayo. This is combination. For those na ginagamit ay 2013, ang first chapter na makikita niyo dyan ay home office, di ba? And branch accounting. Home office and branch accounting are moved to volume 1. Okay? So yung volume 1, nandoon na yung home office and branch accounting. But for our 2017 edition, actually, you started for business combination na. Okay, naklaro ba yun? Ang pinagkaiba lang nila, tandaan nyo to, for 2017 and 2013, is that yung home office and branch accounting was transferred in volume 1. Okay? While the joint arrangement of the volume 1 of 2013 is transferred in volume 2 on 2017. Okay? Nakuha natin yon. Ma'am, bakit po ganon? Kasi, based on the core syllabus mandated by CHED, dapat po ang home office talaga ay part ng advanced accounting 1. Nakuha? Okay? So, ang kasama lang po sa volume 2, supposed to be, are written in your course requirement. Okay. Ayan, nakita niyo yung course requirement ninyo. I will present this one. Kung makikita niyo doon sa course requirement, iyan ang kasama sa course outline ninyo. So, yung course outline ninyo, that includes kung ano yung mga topic na meron dapat tayo on this particular subject. So, from from business combination down to financial distress company. So, wala na kayong makikitang home office and branch dyan. Except for, okay, yung ating corporation in financial distress. Bakit, ma'am? Kasi po, yung corporation in financially distressed company, dapat po, part yan siya ng volume 2. Okay? But in our reference, in the book that we will have, the 2017 of Peralta and Guerrero, okay, that corporate in financial difficulty is not included in the volume 2, but included in volume 1. Okay? But supposed to be in the course outline mandated by the CHED, corporation in financial difficulty must be part of advanced accounting 2. Okay? Pero dahil ang textbook natin has a different format, okay, corporation in financial difficulty is discussed in your advanced accounting 1. Do you understand? Can you still hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Nakuha natin konsepto, ha? Baka kasi naguluhan kayo. So, ulitin ko lang po, The contents of volume 2 of this book will be a reference of the discussion that we will have for the first semester or for the rest of this semester. Nakuha natin yon. That includes chapter 13, which is business combination, after which consolidation after the date of acquisition, consolidation subsequent to the date of acquisition, intercompany transactions, foreign currency transaction, foreign currency translation. By the way, yung NPO and government accounting will not be part of this discussion dahil meron po yung separate course. Okay? That is on the next naman. Okay? Para hindi niya kakainin yung oras natin. Okay? to incorporate in financial difficulty, and if you can see that on the course outline, okay, that is included na doon sa volume 1. So yung volume 1 ninyo medyo mabigat. Hindi naman mabigat kasi yung topic itself, but mabigat dahil marami kayong topic doon. Unlike dito sa ating business combination, we only include few topics, but the topics are heavy. Mabigat yung each topic natin. Specifically on the date of acquisition and subsequent to the date of acquisition. Okay? Will that be clear? Is our outline clear? Klaro ba
Yes,
yun?
ma'am.
Okay, so, kasi bakit
ma'am.
tayo nag-online session ngayon? That is to give you a blueprint of where we will have in this discussion. Kasi medyo mahirap kung iba-iba yung ano natin, mindset natin. Okay? Sige. So if you would have the book, the Let's Present Now, kahit ano naman, kahit anong libro meron kayo, as long as you have read the standard, it's okay. Okay, so the course requirement that we will have, the task for you today, yan, may task kayo, no? Number 1, the first task you have is to answer the pre-test. Okay, mamaya titigan ko yung ilan yung result ng pre-test. The pre-test is quite easy naman. Quite easy. Actually, hindi ko pa na-send yung result ninyo kasi I'll still check your answer in what is expansion. If you have answered that one, okay? So, ang thing kasi ng pre-test natin na to is for you to give a hint of what we will discuss today. Okay? Para hindi kayo blinded kung ano yung discussion natin ngayon. So, give us a hint. What have you answered? Or what have you answered in the question, what is expansion? Okay. Let's have our recitation today. Based on the list, I'll call person, huh? This is alphabetically order based on the last name. So, ano to, descending order or ascending ba to? It is, okay, let's start with, based on the last name. Ms. Zafra.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Ms. Zafra. What did you answer in what is expansion?
Ma'am, my answer is business combination.
Okay.
I say pala yun, ma'am.
Oo. It's an essay, di ba? It should be in paragraph. But thank you, Ms. Zafra. No?
Yes,
Sige na
ma'am.
lang. Okay, thank you, Ms. Zafra. So, Ms. Zafra answer expansion as it means business combination. But generally, when you say expansion, it's not automatically or equivalent to business combination. Ano? Expansion per se, when you say expansion, it refers to what? Physical expansion could either be any type of expansion or pag gusto nyo lang lumaki yung inyong market share, no? You could also expand your distribution. But in general, what do we mean by expansion? Okay? Expansion. Generally, expansion means what? Answer. Let's have another people. Okay. Ms. Wong, in general, how do you define expansion? Bakit mo ba tinatanong yan? Hindi naman related yan sa business combination. Nabasa mo, ma'am? Ms. Wong? Shane?
Ano, ma'am? Ano ba? Expansion. Parang ano, ma'am? Yung parang expansion. Parang mag-increase ng something like volume or increase ng depende lang po ano ang expand niya.
Okay, very good. So, thank you, Ms. Wong. Thank you. So, when we say expansion class, it covers many answer, no? Pag tinanong sa inyo yan, ang general, ang sagot ninyo is to widen the scope of what you have already. Diba? Nakuha natin yung konsepto. So, kung ano yung meron ka ngayon, you have to widen. Diba? That a territory that you would have, no? So halimbawa, expanding. Pag sinabi natin expanding, could either be internal or external. Okay? Pag sinabi natin internal, within yourself, you expand something. Okay? Hindi fats ha. Ayan. Expand your mind, okay? Your soul, and no. When we say external expansion, okay? Being you, tapos meron kang another. Okay? So that is external expansion. So ano ibig sabihin nun, ma'am? You expand yourself, di ba? Halimbawa, through what? Through what, ma'am? Paano yun? Halimbawa, ikaw mag-isa. Ngayon, meron ka ng kaibigan. So through relationship, you expand, di ba? Expand your social circle. So generally, when you say internal and external expansion, okay, saan kaya papasok dun yung business combination? So business combination is an external, more of an external expansion. So hindi lang siya na connotation. Halimbawa, lalakyan natin yung market share. If you would have strategic management, di ba, meron kayong iba't ibang discussion of how to expand the business through vertical, di ba, horizontal, and conglomerate, di ba? So iba't iba yung klase ng ano. But in business combination, we are referring to external expansion, wherein a company will acquire a certain company. So business combination, as we define in IFRS 3, is a transaction or an event in which an acquirer obtains control to one or more enterprises, which are called acquiree. So if you have answered in your pretest exercise, the one who obtains control are acquirer. Ano? Acquirer. Acquirer? Ang acquiree naman, sige. Who is the acquiree? Who is the acquiree? The one being...
ma-absorb.
Ay, gano'n. Okay. Kung ikaw ay si acquirer, ang tawag sa'yo, the one who obtains the control. Diba? While the acquiree, ikaw ang kinukontrol. Ayan. So, sa buhay natin ngayon, ano ka ba? Si acquirer o si acquiree?
Acquirer, ma'am, definite.
Ano? Definitely, an acquirer, no? Kasi mahirap kasi pagpa-control ng control ka lang, di ba, Jewel? Mahirap yan, okay? So, when you're acquirer, you obtain the control over the acquiree. So, therefore, anything that gagawin acquiree will have to be on your discretion. So, ang dating dyan, is it necessary, ma'am? When I obtain the acquiree, nawawala na po siya ng purpose. The answer is not, hindi naman automatically pag kukunin mo, Pag sinabi mo, automatic ba naman pag nag-acquire or there's a business acquisition, anong ganap, ma'am, nawawala na yung na-acquire. It's not automatic. There are different types of this business combination which we will discuss today. Okay? So, as we defined, okay, a business combination, we have mentioned business. Okay? In a general perspective, business refers to any transaction that transpires between two or more person. That is a business. Nakuha natin yung konsepto. Okay? Pag sinabi kasing business, sabi kasi doon, ma'am, you had to have defined kanina, IFRS 3 is the acquisition of control over one or more entity. Okay? Or one or more business. So pag sinabi natin business, ma'am, what is it mean? In the context of business combination, it is not just an ordinary definition of business. Kasi pag sinabi kasi natin business, it just means that a transaction that transpires between two or more persons. But in business combination, business is described as, what? An integrated set of activities and asset that is capable of being conducted and managed for the purpose of providing in return in the form of dividends and economic benefits directly to investor and other owners, members, or particular. So that is the definition provided by IFRS 3 Appendix A. So kapag hindi napasok doon yung ating definition of business, it is not a business combination. So paano natin malalaman it is a business combination? So there are three elements that you have to understand before you can categorize that as business combination. The first one we have, what? Oh, ang bilis-bilis mo naman. Oo. Konting-konti lang. Madali lang, mabilis lang ito. Okay, the first one we have is input, The next one is output, and the third one is
Process.
process. Oh, nag-aral si Jul. Okay, very good. Okay, so yun yung mga tatlong elemento na titingnan natin para malaman natin if that particular business is business as it says to the business combination. So una, input. Ano nga ba ang input? Let us define first what is an input. Input is economic resource, whether it is non-current or current asset that creates an output when one or more processes are applied to it. Number two, what is a process? A system, a standard, protocol, convention, or rule that when applied to an input, it creates an output. Ano naman yung output? Okay, the result of input and process that applied to inputs. So therefore, those three elements are what? Connected, interconnected. So, input are resources na pag nilagyan mo ng proseso, magiging output. Ang process naman are protocols. When you use, pag ginamit mo ito sa input, magiging output. And the last one is output. Kapag pag ginamitan natin ng process yung input, ito ay magiging output. So that is the general meaning of the definition of a business. So pag ganun ang definition ng business natin, it is a business combination. Pero pag sinabi natin business per se, a transaction that transpires between two or more person, that is not considered as business. Okay? So let's have that mindset. Let us define first business in that context. Number two, to define what is an acquirer. Okay. Na-define natin kanina what is a business combination. A business combination happens when, one, a transaction that happens when an entity, which is acquirer, obtains control over one or more businesses. So we have defined what is business combination. Next, we have defined what is businesses. Now, we will define what is an acquirer. Okay, acquirer is the one who obtains the control, while the acquiree is the one being controlled by the acquirer. Okay, the next question is, tawag there. Hello? Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello,
Wala ang signal, girl. Okay. Can you still see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sige. We'll proceed to the discussion. Ayan. So as I mentioned earlier, yung mga requirement reference natin for a certain discussion is found on the course requirement I have shared before. So kung makikita nyo dyan, the week 1 and 2 supposed to be without any interruption. So dapat ang matapos natin, we have to accomplish this one, which is accounting for business combination, an overview of business combination. So our textbook reference is also written in there. So we have also the standard reference, IFRS 3 and PFRS 3. Please remember that the content of PFRS or the Philippine Financial Reporting Standard is a copy version of the International Financial Reporting Standard. So kung ano yung laman ng IFRS will also be found in PFRS 3. Kaya kung naghahanap kayo ng reference, it's hard to find a reference which is a financial reporting standards which is issued by the Philippines. So if you could find IFRS 3 version, it's okay. Then on this last section, we will have, hindi kasi nasama dito, but we will also include PFRS for SMEs. Okay? Okay. Yan. Kasama po yan lahat. So if you would have to use that one, you can use the reference. Will that be clear? Sige. Balik na tayo dun sa definition. If you have earlier, we have defined business combination. Ulitin natin. Baka nakalimutan nyo dahil nawala ako. Business combination is a transaction wherein an entity obtains control over one or more businesses. As we define businesses, okay, it must have 3 elements, which are the input, the process, and the output. So the one who obtains control are the acquirer, and the one who is being controlled is the acquiree. Okay, so let us define that. Nakuha ba natin yung definition? Can you answer me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Okay. Ma'am, bakit importante na i-define po natin yun? Because if we are not in the same context, medyo mahihirapan kayo, no? To understand business combination. So we are into defining the same definition para pareho tayo ng understanding. Okay? Okay, proceed na tayo with the nature. Actually, I have the presentation pero hindi ko ma-open, no? Hindi siya na-open. The drive. Blanco siya. Wala, bakit? Okay, let's start with that. Sige, baka pwede na siya dito ngayon. Okay, let us proceed with the nature and the nature of business combination. Okay. Balikan na lang natin yan. Okay. So what are the nature of business combination? Okay. So IFRS 3 must be applied for business combination but does not apply to. Okay? So IFRS 3 does not apply to. Ito yung mga exemption to the rule, ano? Kasi baka kala nyo lahat ng business combination is already a business combination. So these are the exception of applying IFRS 3. Number 1, if the formation is a joint venture. So if the formation is a joint venture, IFRS 3 is not applicable. Klaro yun. Number 2, the acquisition of an asset or group of asset that is not a business. Okay, although general guidance is provided on how such transaction should be accounted for. So any acquisition of a group of asset or asset that is not considered as business is not considered as business combination under IFRS 3. Okay. Number 3, combinations of entity or businesses under common control. Okay. If there is a common control. And the last one is acquisition by an investment of entity of a subsidiary that is required to be measured at fair value through profit or loss under IFRS 10 of the consolidated financial statement. Okay, so yung mga specific exemption of using IFRS 3, number 1, accounting for joint venture. Number 2, acquisition of asset or group of asset that is not considered as business. Number 3, combination of entities or businesses under common control. And the last one is acquisition by an investment of a subsidiary that is accounted for or measured through profit or loss under consolidated financial statement. So, ayan yung mga exemption natin for IFRS 3. So, tandaan niyo yan na, baka makalimutan niyo yan. Mamaya, I will have to present that one, pero hindi kasi siya na kita. But if you want to look into that, nandyan yan po sa IFRS 3, PFRS 3, okay, standard summary, doon sa aking reference na ibinigay. Okay? Doon sa reference, kindly search this one. Ay, di pala ako naka-percent. Okay, so if you want to see the standard word by word, you can search that also online, or you can use this, yung binigay kong course requirement before, and use this link to find IFRS 3. Pero actually, if you just input in your search engine, IFRS 3, automatically business combination will be presented. Okay? Next one. So the question is, how do we classify business combination? In general, there are two. If you have answered doon sa ating, if you have answered doon sa inyong pre-test exercise, okay, ng question, what are the classification of business combination in legal sense? So in legal sense, there are two classification of business combination. Number one, acquisition of asset, and number two is acquisition of stock. So if you have answered, parang konti lang, joke lang. Parang tama naman kayo lahat dito, no? So when you're asked what would be the classification of business combination in the legal sense, there are two types. Number one, acquisition of asset. Number two is acquisition of stock. So let us define first acquisition of the asset. So acquirer, as we have mentioned, the one who obtains control, acquire the asset and assumes the liability of a certain entity. Nakuha natin yun. How about acquisition of stock? So acquisition of stock, instead of acquiring an asset, you have acquired a certain ownership or stock of that certain entity. Question, ma'am. Paano niyo masasabi na kayo ay nag-obtain ng business combination? Bumili lang ako halimbawa ng asset, ma'am. Automatically po ba, business combination po yun? Or halimbawa, ma'am, bumili lang po ako ng share. Is that a business combination? Let us define first a business combination. Okay? Transaction in which an acquirer obtains control. So that is the key term in there. There must be a control. Okay? So hindi pwede yung nagbili ka lang ng Betsin doon sa company, no? Acquisition of asset na. O nagbili ka lang ng 1,000 na stock, acquisition of stock under business combination. There are consideration that we have to understand. So number one, mamaya bibigay natin ng definition kung ano yung mga control. Number two, ano ba yun? Okay? So there are consideration that must be taken before we could classify that as an acquisition of asset or acquisition of stock based on business combination IFRS 3. Okay? So let us first define what is acquisition of asset. So acquisition of asset, the acquirer purchases the asset and assumes the liability of the acquirer in exchange for cash or non-cash consideration, which maybe the acquirer owns. Okay? After the acquisition, the acquired entity normally ceases. When we say cease, it means stop. Okay? As a separate legal accounting entity, the acquirer records the asset acquired and liabilities assumed in the business combination in the books of account. So, klaro po yun, ano? When there is an acquisition of asset, the one being acquired cease its operation. So, automatically, kapag acquisition of asset, tapos you obtain control of that certain entity, okay, the one being controlled or the one being acquired cease its operation. That is acquisition of asset. So there are different types of acquisition of asset. So dalawang meron tayo acquisition of asset. Number one is merger. Number two is consolidation. So what would be the difference of merger and consolidation? Pag merger, okay, please remember this one. It is discussed in your law na before, di ba? Occurs when two or more companies merge into single entity, which shall be one of the following company. Ano ibig sabihin nun, ma'am? So kapag may A plus B, under statutory merger, ang nangyayari, it's either A or B ang result. Okay? So, dapat nandito ito sa akin percentage. Okay, hindi ko siya nakita. Okay. So, ayan ha. Pag sinabi natin statutory merger, ibig sabihin, you have A plus B, that would result to either A or B. Statutory merger. Okay? Next. What is statutory consolidation? So, statutory consolidation naman, when you have A plus B, it could give you another entity. So, that would be C. Okay? It pertains to another entity. So, the two company combined ceases operation and there is another entity arises. So, that is statutory consolidation. Ulitin natin, ano? Under acquisition of asset, there are two types. Acquisition of asset, there are two types. Number one, merger. Number two is consolidation. Okay ba? Sige. Sige, tignan ko na kung naiintindihan. You just have to answer yes or no. Okay, number one. In acquisition of asset, the one being acquired ceases or stop its operation. Yes or no? Again, question? Okay, first question. On acquisition of asset, the one being acquired cease or stop its operation. The answer, if you have answered yes, you are correct. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. There are two types of acquisition of asset: statutory merger and statutory consolidation. Second question. If I would have a statutory merger, what would be the result of combination? If you would have A plus B, what would be the result? Is it A or is it B?
Either A or B.
Okay, the correct answer is either A or B. Very good. How about in statutory consolidation? If there is a combination for A and B, what would be the result?
C.
Okay, very good. The result would be another entity, which is C. Very good. Statutory consolidation. Statutory consolidation. In the legal sense kasi it is considered in the legal sense. Okay? Statutory. Pero pwede naman sabihin merger tapos consolidation. Pero mas maganda pag statutory, di ba? Okay. So ulitin natin ha, there are two types of acquisition of asset: merger and consolidation. So the key terms to remember in acquisition of asset, the one being acquired cease its operation. So it's either you have statutory merger, in which if you would add A plus B, it would result to either A or B. But in statutory consolidation, if you would add A or B, you would have another entity, which is C. Okay. Next, we proceed with acquisition of stock. Okay, acquisition of stock. Next question. Pag acquisition of stock ba ang nangyari, one being acquired cease its operation. Yes or no? Answer. The one being acquired cease its operation in acquisition of stock.
Oh, ma'am. No?
No, ma'am.
Okay, the correct answer is no. Okay, tandaan nyo ito. Di katulad ng acquisition of assets, sa acquisition of stock, the one being acquired do not cease its operation. Kasi stock lang naman yung binili nila. Unlike kapag asset and liabilities ang kinuha natin, automatically walang matitira sa'yo. Pwede ka ba mag-recognize ng equity na wala kang asset at liability? You cannot do so. So therefore, an acquisition of asset, automatically there is a consolidation na mangyayari. Okay? Pero kapag acquisition of stock, okay, dahil stock lang yung binili mo, but in substance, you own that company. Diba? Pero it doesn't mean dahil own mo yung company na yun, magsisis na siya ng operation. So, hindi po. Kapag stock acquisition, the owned company or the acquired company will not cease its operation, but will continue as an entity. So therefore, ma'am, how will we manifest that we own that entity, or by the virtue of accounting assumption of accounting entity, even though that the entity is still existing, you know that that company is yours, di ba? Kahit nandyan ka, alam kong akin ka. Okay? So therefore, you cannot no, you cannot assume that it is separate. So therefore, when you have acquisition of stock, you have to have a consolidation. So yun na yung meron tayo doon sa subsequent, doon sa meron sa inyong separate book, sa date of acquisition at saka sa subsequent to the date of acquisition. So that is applicable to stock acquisition. Bakit, ma'am? Bakit hindi po applicable yan sa acquisition of asset? Kasi on the date of acquisition, there is an automatic consolidation. Di katulad kapag acquisition of stock. Kasi stock na yung binili mo. So therefore, paano mo ma-manifest na in accounting entity, you are one? So kailangan mo ng consolidation. So nakuha natin yung konsepto. Okay? Mga palangga.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sige, next we are to proceed with the types of combination. Hindi naman ito pertaining to accounting, but it pertains to expansion. Okay? So there are different types. Apat. Number 1, horizontal. Number 2, vertical. Number 3, conglomerate. Conglomerate. It's so hard to speak about. Conglomerate. Okay? The last one is circular combination. Okay. If we would have the knowledge of this one, can you explain to us? If we have the knowledge? Anyone? Wala. Sige, paspasan na lang natin to. Okay. So, meron kayong tabis? Okay. First is on horizontal combination. So, pag sinabi natin horizontal combination, a business combination of 2 or more entities which would have similar businesses. So, pag sinabi natin horizontal, okay, you have a bank and another bank. So, if you would have acquired this bank, okay, wala akong ballpen dito. So, these are banks. Both banks are here. So, this is Bank A and Bank B. So, if that is a horizontal combination, your competitor before and you have acquired, that is a horizontal combination. Number 2, a vertical combination. So, pag vertical, above and down. So, pag sinabi natin a vertical combination, as it defined, a business combination of 2 or more entities operating on a different operating levels. So, halimbawa, ito ang manufacturer, ito yung distributor. Okay? Since sabi ng manufacturer, I could earn more if I will acquire this distributor. So, ang gagawin niya, you have to acquire this distributor. So, that is a vertical combination. Next one is conglomerate. So, conglomerate naman, ito yung magkakaiba talaga sila. You acquire a certain entity without relationship or without, sinasabi dito, without or disunited business. So, in general, there are different types. So, kung halimbawa kanina, we have banks and banks horizontal. About kanina sa vertical, manufacturer and distributor. Vertical. Sa conglomerate naman, they are not united. So, there is no specific relationship between the business being acquired. That is conglomerate. And the last one is circular combination. So, katulad rin ng conglomerate, but it is not diverse masyado. So, kung ano halimbawa ng conglomerate? Halimbawa ng conglomerate class, yung mga companies, okay? Ito. Okay? Halimbawa. Okay? Anong halimbawa ng conglomerate? Halimbawa, you are into real estate. Diba? Parang si Manny Villar. Tapos, bibili ka ng bangko, no? So, there are different types. Financial service, tapos ito, medyo, siya, real estate. So, medyo different siya. When we say conglomerate, it is different talaga. Next one is circular combination. Pag circular combination, okay, it is, parang conglomerate siya, pero it's not a drastic change. So, anong halimbawa ng circular combination? Ito example of these are cell phone manufacturers combining with car manufacturer, or a company manufacturing consumer durable, combining automobile with, so when we say, mapareho sila, but in same nature. Nakuha natin yun. Parang ang dating nun is, you have a manufacturer and a manufacturer, but the different types of manufacturing. Di katulad ng kanina sa ating sa bank and bank with the same financial services, horizontal yun. Nakuha na yung konsepto ng circular combination? Okay, sige, sige. Ulitin natin, ha? Sige. I will give an example and you have to mention whether it's horizontal, vertical, conglomerate, or circular. If you think it is horizontal, write H. If you think it's vertical, write B. If it's conglomerate, CO. And if it's circular, write CI. Okay, so those are type of business combination according to strategic management. So in the comment section, you just have to answer whether it is. Okay, let's start. So I will give either a real situation or a sum situation. Number 1, supplier and manufacturer. What is your answer? Very good. If you answer vertical combination, you're correct. Next. How about if McDonald's acquired Jollibee? Very good. The correct answer is horizontal combination. Next. Next. Okay. A land developer acquire an automobile shop. Okay, that is a conglomerate. Ano? Very good. Next. Next. Okay, a cell phone manufacturer acquires an automobile manufacturer. Okay, very good. Okay, nakuha natin yung konsepto. So those are the examples of a horizontal, vertical, conglomerate, and circular. Actually, it's not included in your book, but it's quite good to understand. Okay? Kasi meron kayong terminal output. I will let you have terminal output. So dahan-dahan nating i-build up yung inyong terminal output. Okay. So the last one we will discuss today is the methods of accounting for business combination. So the methods of accounting for business combination, we have 4 steps. Number 1, identify the acquirer. Number 2, determine the acquisition date. Number 3, determine the consideration given or the price paid of the acquirer. And the last one is to recognize and measure identifiable asset acquired, liabilities assumed, non-contouring interest, and any resulting goodwill or gain on the business combination. So, 4 lang yun, ano? So, 4 na yun. Number 1, you have to memorize this by heart. No? Number 1 is to identify the acquirer. Number 2, kasi dito lalabas yung ating discussion. So, pag hindi nyo alam ito, medyo mahihirapan kayo. So, number 1, identification of the acquirer. Number 2 is to determine the acquisition date. Number 3, what? Determine the consideration given. And number 4, recognize and measure any asset and liabilities assumed, NCI to be recognized, and any gain or goodwill to be recognized at the time of business combination. So let's start with the acquisition of the acquirer. What is acquirer? Anyone? What is acquirer? How will you determine that it is acquirer? Wala. Okay, so 3 methods yun, ano? For us to determine who is the acquirer. Dapat nandito kasi hindi normal. Stress ako. Okay, number 1. Mamaya baka ma-upload ko yan, pero ang hirap ng net kasi, no? Number 1, to identify the acquirer, this must be used as a guideline. Number 1, The acquirer is usually the entity that transfers cash or any other asset where the business combination is affected in the manner. Number 2, the acquirer is usually, but not always, the entity issuing equity interest wherein the transaction is affected in this manner. O, kanina, number 1 ha. Usually transfer cash or any other asset. Pangalawa, who transfer equity. Number 3, the acquirer is usually the entity with the largest relative size of asset, revenue, and profit. And number 4, for business combination transaction involving entities, the one who initiates the transaction. So, dapat, ma'am, bakit po kailangan malaman namin yung point of view na acquirer? Kasi in the business combination, we are into recording the point of view of an acquirer rather than acquiring. So, pag business combination, ang point of view natin is recording in the perspective of the acquirer. Ano yun? Okay? So, the first one, to understand if it's an acquirer, number 1, it transfer cash or any other asset. Number 2, it transfer equity. Okay? Number 3, it has the largest size of its revenue, asset, and profit. And the last one, who initiates the transaction. Okay? Okay. Next one, acquisition date. So to determine the acquisition date, why is it necessary for us to determine the acquisition date? It is necessary for you to determine the acquisition date. Bakit? Bakit necessary siya? Kasi that is to determine also the fair value of the asset and the liabilities to be measured on the business combination. Dapat importante na alam nyo kung ano yung acquisition date to determine the fair value to be recognized. Okay? Next. Dapat may presentation to, hindi naman nakikita, no? Okay? Next one is to recognize, number 3, recognize any consideration or the price paid by the acquirer. And the last one is to recognize any identifiable asset acquired, liabilities assumed, NCI, and any resulting gain or loss on gain or goodwill on the business combination. Walang loss ha, walang loss. Okay? Okay, assignment tayo kasi wala nang pong time, ano? I do not have the time. Okay, Kylie C. Sige, compute tayo. Kylie C. Okay. Okay. 13-1. Hindi to assignment ha. We will have to answer this one. Assume what is the total amount should the net asset acquired be recorded, assuming that the contingent consideration is 5,000. Okay? Sige daw, if you have understanding of that. How could you answer 13-1? Let's read the problem. Do you have the same book? Okay. Man Incorporated purchased all the net asset of Woman Company on January 2, 2017 by issuing 8,000 share of its 10 par value stock. At the time of stock was reselling for 30 per share. Direct cost associated is 4,000. Under IFRS 3, what total amount should be the net asset acquired be recorded by Man, assuming that the contingent consideration is determined as 5,000. What's your answer? Dig it out. Calculator?
Ma'am, anong page po yan sa book mo?
34.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Bakit di ba sa inyo?
13-1.
13-1. 13. Ay, toward 2013 kayo. Oh, sige. Hindi ko alam kung ano yun sa 2013. Sige, I'll have the 2013. Okay, 14-1 daw po sa 2013. Kasi you have started in 14 kasi yung 12 and 13 was business, home office, diba? Okay, anong page po? It's page 34. before we end our discussion today. Tingnan lang natin kung ano. Nakuha natin yun. So, first is to determine, wala pa akong tanong ha. Number 1 question. Ano 109, Mr. Pancho? Ano yan? Okay, first question. Who is the acquirer? Under acquisition method, who is the acquirer? Please answer.
Man Inc.
Ano ba? Sino to?
Unincorporated.
Unincorporated. Very good. Wala pa. Sino ba nagsagot? Sabi kay chat-chat na eh. Okay, next. Who is the acquiree?
Woman.
May nagsagot. Okay, the correct answer is woman company. Okay. The first step is to determine the acquirer. Next question. What is the acquisition date? What is the acquisition date? Okay, very good. It's January 2, 2017. Please be careful, kasi yung iba kasi, pag binigyan ng December 31, sinasagot nila December 31. So the reporting date is December 31, but the acquisition minsan is January. And very good. January 2 is the correct answer. Next question. What is the consideration given? Okay, what is the consideration given? So, if you would have an 8,000 shares with a par value of 10, but the fair value is 30, what will you use? Is it 10 or is it 30? What's your answer? Very good. The correct answer is 30. Rather than using the par value, you have to use the fair value at the date of acquisition, which is 30. So 8,000 times 30 is how much? That is 240,000. But taking into consider the contingent consideration at the date of acquisition, you have to add such, which is 5,000. So the total consideration given at the date of acquisition is 245. Question, in your pretest exercise, I have questioned all acquisition-related costs are expense except for what?
Stock issuance cost.
Okay. Stock issuance costs and bonds issuance costs. Those costs are needed to be deducted or added depending kung bonds issuance or stock issuance. Yon, okay? So, nakuha natin sagot doon. Question, is that 4,000 to be added in the consideration given? Yes or no? That 4,000 direct acquisition cost.
No, ma'am.
Okay, the correct answer is no. That 4,000 is directly to be expensed outright. Tatandaan nyo, whether an acquisition cost is direct or indirect, under PFRS 3 or IFRS 3, it is considered as an immediate outright expense. Whether they are direct or indirect, any acquisition-related cost is considered as expense. So, klaro yun. So, if you have answered in 13-1, you have answered 245,000, you are correct. Correct. Tama kayo? Pakitaas ang kamay kung sinong tama. Ay, pakilagay sa chat box. Tama ba kayo? Walang tama, ma'am. Okay, very good. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. So, your assignment for the next meeting. Thank you very much. So, solving na lang naman itong next meeting, no? Hindi naman siya ganun ka-bigat. Okay. Next meeting, we will have an offline session. I will pose a question coming from your book. Okay? So, it's either mamaya ko ipopost para makita ninyo, and you can do that, hindi na lang, Thursday na lang, no? You can do that on our time schedule, and you have to submit that online. So, klaro yun, ha? First, our exercise on Thursday, you have to answer a specific problem. Tapos, isasubmit nyo yan sa akin through online. Will that be clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so mangyari sa atin, ma'am, di pa nga kami marunong mag-solve ng goodwill. Okay, that is basically easy for this matter. So hindi ko naman kailangan isa-isa pa sa inyo for that. So doon lang tayo focus doon sa medyo complicated na discussion. But after you have answered our exercise for Thursday, we will discuss the answer right away naman din. So I'll give you time on Thursday, so mga an hour to finish the exercise, and we have to discuss the answer afterwards for 13 minutes. Okay? So if you have already completed that, mas madaling oras, it's quite, paano yung gagawin, ma'am? So sabi ko nga sa inyo, for exercises, for assignment, you have to write that on a bond paper, and you have to scan or take a picture of your answer, then submit that to the Google Classroom. So, ganun ang mangyayari pag solving tayo, kasi medyo complicated siya kapag halimbawa i-encode nyo lang. Kasi pag i-encode, I'm not sure if you are the one who answered that one. So, pag mayroon tayong template kapag sasagot kayo sa seatwork, una, kailangan kakasya siya sa isang bond paper. So, as you scan, okay, save that as PDF para hindi siya movable. Tapos, hindi pwede yung kada section ng bond paper, ipipicture nyo, nagsakit ang ulo ko. Last time that was done by my student. So, dapat, in a one paper, dapat one scan, hindi yung by section. So, one bond paper, one scan, then move on to the next scan for the next bond paper. Will that be clear? Will that be okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So, ang gagawin nyo, ma'am, do we need to write the problem? No need to write the problem because problem are... Sige, if I have the chance, I will take a photo of this, of the section of the problems that I would need you to answer. So para may reference kayo, regardless if you would use the 2017 or 2013 book. Okay? Sige. So that is it for today. We will see each other on Thursday naman din. If you can complete your task within 1 hour. Hopefully you can. Siguro mga 10 problems lang papagawa ko sa inyo.
Ma'am.
After which, bakit?
Wala, ma'am.
And after which, we will discuss your answer. Okay? So basic pa naman itong first chapter of the book. So hindi pa kayo medyo mahihirapan dito. Okay?
Dito lang tayo sa book mag-practice, ma'am. Na.
Hindi.
Ayun.
This would be the first, kasi ang seatworks natin, ganito, no? I'll give from the book para may silbi naman yung libro na Tapos, syempre, bilhin nyo yan. Pagkatapos, I'll give another exercise that will be coming from me. Okay?
Yes,
Okay. Pagkatapos, meron na naman kayo another set of quiz. So, pag exercises, generally, pag exercises tayo, that is written talaga. Pero kapag quiz, siguro, ito medyo mahirap tayo pag quiz, no? Medyo kulang ka sa oras pag quiz. So, most likely, I'll just ask for the answer. Pero yung solution, medyo mahirap tanungin kapag sa So, for the, for the seatwork and assignment, you have to write. Tapos pag quizzes, you just have to provide the answer, if possible. Okay? Question? Do you have any question? Meron nahulog dito. Okay. Question? Do you have any question?
So far. None so
Okay.
far, ma'am.
Ma'am, kailan po ipopost yung, who is this? Who is asking?
Ma'am,
Okay.
yung sa Fritas ba? Di ba sabi,
Ano yun?
yung sa combinations in legal sense? Bakit
Legal
ang sagot mo acquisition of control wala lagi din choices?
Acquisition of asset and acquisition of stock.
Yes, ma'am, pero bakit mga horizontal, vertical, chucho ang mga choices?
Ay, nilagay ko doon? For real?
Yes.
Let us see. Nakakaiba yung nasulat ko. Sige. Thank you, Mr. Bandingan. Pati sa pansin mo. As in, iba nilalagay ko doon. Okay. Acquisition of chuchu. Oh, at least nagbasa si Mr. Bandingan, naalala niya. Okay, any other question before we leave this meeting? Wala na po. Okay? If we do not have any question, kindly leave the meeting so we can proceed to the next subject. Thank you.